Okay, so here we go. Pin lock kegs are named because of the pins. That's the liquid out, has 3 pins. Gas in has 2 pins, impossible to get them confused, unlike ball lock kegs. And then there's a special socket that that has notches on it, and we're going to basically take those posts off to get this thing properly cleaned. So alright, once you loosen it up, you can just take it off by hand. So both of them have, this thing in here is called the poppet. The poppet should push right out of there. Sometimes it's harder than others. You don't necessarily have to take it out to clean it though. Then there's a post. This is the short post because it's the gas post. And then there's an O-ring. You got to check those O-rings. These are in good shape. Take those out when you're cleaning it. I'll put those in their own separate little container of OxyClean. And this guy, that's going to be the long post. We check the O-rings. That guy is a little gummed up, but not bad. And it goes to the bottom of the keg, so it's really long, bent at the bottom. And then you take the lid off. So you take the lid and the posts, put them in their own little container. Alright, so there's my 2 posts. Oh yeah, don't forget where posts, which post goes where. So I always have it, the post facing away from me, liquid on the left. That's the L's. So that is a little pattern I use, liquid on the left when they're facing away. And there's a little bit of sludge down there. These are generally clean except for the outside, but I'll give you the whole thing. So this is basically the same as OxyClean, although most types of OxyClean nowadays have a bunch of different additives and perfumes and stuff. This is just sodium percarbonate and sodium carbonate, which is the main ingredient of OxyClean. I still use OxyClean, but if I can, I'll use this stuff. It's a little more expensive, but whatever. So put 4 or 5 tablespoons in the keg and then fill it about 80% of the way with hot water. And we got a little bit of it in here. This stuff cleans really well. You want nice hot water, and it foams up, and the oxygen action really cleans well. Alright, so it foams up quite a bit, so that's filled up just below the foam there, probably closer to 90%. And we're just going to let, it wasn't particularly dirty. The main part of this keg that I want to clean is actually the top, the outside rim. There's other ways to do that, but I find this is a really dirt simple way to get the whole thing clean. So I'm going to leave it soak. If there were nasty stuff inside that wouldn't come clean, then OxyClean will usually, or sodium percarbonate will usually get it. If it's really stubborn like beer stone or something, you want to use PBW, which is powdered brewer's wash. It's basically this plus some other ingredients that really gets the hardest stuff out, but it's very rare that OxyClean won't get it clean for you. Alright, so I got a 20-liter bucket. You notice it's not that much bigger around than this. That there's a reason for that in terms of volume of the liquid in there. So it's set for half an hour like this. Now I gotta flip it over. And you gotta be real quick when you're doing this, or you make a mess. Alright, so now you can see down here on the side, I don't have, the water level is not fully up over the black rim, so I just pick it up a little bit to let some water out, and that raises the level, and that'll clean the whole side of the keg. Whoops, what happened there? Oh, and you can see here I did keg repair a long time ago with PL Premium construction adhesive. This one was all coming apart. Whoops, this one was all coming apart. and I just plugged the whole thing full of PL Premium, and it's held for, gosh, that's got to be 15 years now that's been holding. Anyway, now I'll just let this soak. It's OxyClean solution. I'll let it soak there for another half an hour, take it and give it a good rinse, and then repeat the whole thing with Star San. Now I got my post soaking upside down. I forgot to put it upside down in the keg. Really, it's just to clean that part around there. Or if you think it's really dirty inside. So I have it soaking here now. Anyway, so now what I do is I just pull it up out of there and let all the liquid out into here. And then give it a good rinse. Let's have a look. So we just alright, that's been about 20 minutes, but it should be plenty to get that clean. Now, you can't tell now. I'm going to go give it a good rinse off and then show you that it's all nice and clean. You saw how dirty it was. Alright, you can see it is really clean now. It was nasty before from just being in my basement, an old stone basement. Very nice and clean. I've got it mostly dried off. You don't want to soak it too long in OxyClean. You will deteriorate this vulcanized rubber. If you really soaked it for hours or something like that, you'll deteriorate it, and you'll notice that a lot of black will come off onto your hands. So you keep it at 20-30 minutes soaking the rubber, and that's it. So now you just repeat the exact same process with the Star San, and Bob's your uncle. So we got these parts in here. Yes, I got some dishes in my sink. We want to drain this off, give them a really good rinse. I will note that if you're doing multiple kegs, keep them in separate dishes and clearly marked which keg they belong to, because not all, unless you really know what you're doing, not all keg parts are necessarily interchangeable, and you might get the wrong part on the wrong keg. So it's best to keep each keg separate and all the pieces separate, and readily identifiable per keg. Oh, and something I learned, I'm always learning, been brewing for 25 years and still learning stuff. So OxyClean and the similar cleaners, sodium percarbonate, they are actually sanitizers too with a good soak. I just learned that about a month ago. So I don't actually have to OxyClean it. Make sure you rinse really, really well. The water here, house water, is well chlorinated, so I'm rinsing with chlorinated water and rinse them really well. And I don't actually need to sanitize this with Star San. Now I do notice I got a drip here of some kind. You see that? I have to investigate that a little bit to see what's going on there. So because of the way Star San foams up so much, sometimes you want to transfer it by siphon so that it won't foam. Right now I got the long post upside down in there, filling it up with a siphon just so that it doesn't foam up. So there's the poppet that came out of the post. It's all nice and clean inside. Very clean. The poppet's nice and clean. The O-ring here, this is good. Everything looks great on this. I'm going to put it back on. Alright, so I got it filled up with Star San. These are tightened up. You pop the post to fill. This post may not be full. So, whoops. So we pop that to fill up the whole post with Star San. I'm going to put the lid on and flip the keg over to see it's all being sanitized right up until that last little bit. So, alright, there it is upside down. So that last little whatever centimeter that wasn't, oh, and there's a leak. So I got to turn it right back over. I didn't pressurize it, I should have. Yeah, my CO2 tank is out in the garage. Normally Normally before I flip a keg I will pressurize it just to seal it all up really tight. So I'm going to have to go out in the garage and get my CO2. It's the first time I will have used my CO2 in the new house. So anyway. Oh, and Star Sand sanitizes like in 1 or 2 minutes anyway, so it probably was enough time for it to do its thing. This poor thing needs a cleaning. It's lived for 18 years in the basement of my old house, and I hope it doesn't have a fate like that here. It needs a good cleaning. Alright, we're upside down again. This time it's pressurized so it's not going to leak. I'll just leave it there for a couple of minutes to complete the sanitization of that last little bit. Alright, returning the Star Sand to its home via siphon so that it doesn't all foam up. And if I just poured it in there, I'd never get it all in there. It would be so much foam. So, and bucket of Star Sand, I would replenish it once a year myself. With the amount of brewing I did, when I was brewing a fair bit, say, I don't know, what would I have brewed? Probably 10, 40-liter batches a year, and I found I could store this and replace it once a year, maybe twice a year, but I think I was on a once-a-year schedule.